All right. This is the Anyways show. My name is Jeff Orlick. We've been doing this pretty often. I'm a thing. So, what we got today is not my wife. She's gonna be out of the picture. But we have my friend, Seth Taylor. Hey, Seth.
Hey guys.
So, this is supposed to be, I feel like I'm doing a show. I feel like I'm actually doing a show. This is Seth Taylor. He, uh, he is of the, um, I want to get the pronunciation right. How do you say it? Dunedin.
Dunedin.
Dunedin. When I first talked about you guys, I looked it up beforehand because I wanted to be professional and say it correctly. Dunedin.
Yeah, it's a beautiful
Dunedin.
beach town over here on the Gulf side,
Yeah.
Gulf of Mexico.
Oh. So Seth from the Dunedin Hemp Company, but he used to work at the 82nd Street BID Business Improvement District, and we talked when Scott Wiener was on. He had a short show, so we expanded it with Seth impromptu, and we talked about the 82nd Street BID, which was a very it's a neighborhood organization, and uh, Seth was really innovative, and then some controversy occurred when they wanted to make a Roosevelt Avenue bid and make it like 40 blocks. Um, and then it got into all sorts of, the neighborhood went crazy. A lot of back and forth. Very interesting period of time. And so but that was fun. So we're going to talk about it more today. So here's Seth, right, Seth?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like we said, enough time has passed where we've had time to reflect and we can be honest and transparent about what was happening back during those tumultuous days.
Also, I mean, you're in the private sector now. So like before you can't really talk, like if you were still working for the bids in New York, you wouldn't want to discuss this stuff,
Well, yeah, I think
would
it's
you?
interesting now that I am a merchant,
Yeah.
um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and I sort of see that whole side of what it's like to be a small business owner and what it takes to keep your lights on, um, and so I think it gives me interesting perspective. It kind of, looking back on those bid days when I was in the public sector or the nonprofit sector. Um, Yeah, I mean, I had good relationships with small business owners, but never really knew what it took to keep
Oh,
a small business running. So
oh.
good to have this perspective.
Yeah, I guess I wonder like if it does it help to get a job at the bid if you had like business, did they look for that in like the job interview if you had like perspective, business history?
Well, it's interesting. Most people who go into that field of neighborhood revitalization, neighborhood management,
Yeah.
come out of city planning programs. And so uh, no, the answer is they don't necessarily look for
Oh.
experience, in the private sector, um, but you need to, managing a small nonprofit. You are running a business to a certain extent, but it's very different because the way bids are operated, they have a revenue stream that is essentially guaranteed,
Huh.
right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, so it's not as if so you don't have to. We didn't have to stress out about where our operating finances were coming from because we knew that they were just going to be collected by the city and
Yeah.
transferred over to us. So I think that's a huge difference between, uh, the nonprofit sector,
Right.
especially particularly bids, and the private sector where, running a small business every day counts, every dollar counts. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, it's different there.
A lot less, I guess, accountability. Even it's pretty.
Yeah, well, so do you want me to just tell you a little bit about
Sure.
the 82nd Street bid and sort of how I
Okay.
got into that organization in the first place? So it was interesting. I was working at the Union Square Partnership, and I was at my desk one day. I'd only been with the Union Square Partnership for about 9 months, and got a phone call, and it was from the Commissioner of Small Business Services, Rob Walsh, and he said, "Hey, Seth, would you be interested in coming out to 82nd Street and taking a look at this opportunity?" I had never been out there before, so I remember taking a drive out there that weekend and was just blown away by the the feeling of 82nd Street and uh, and Jackson Heights. I mean, it's amazing. Um, it's a
Yeah.
real sensory experience, with the sounds, the smells, the architecture, everything,
Yeah.
um, the people. And so, but it was obvious though that the bid wasn't doing its job.
Right.
Um, there's the business owners weren't getting anything in return for what they were paying, contributing
Yeah.
in the extra taxes. There was graffiti everywhere. 82nd Street, the streetscape was a mess. Um, the business directory was so out of date. I don't think most of the business owners who are members of the bid, because they pay into it, I don't even think they realized they were part of that organization.
Right. Yeah. I was gonna say they don't. They have nothing to complain about if they don't. They don't see the bill. They just pay the rent,
Right, right.
anyways.
Yeah, that's right. Because it's sort of blended into their lease, but they are paying. I think on average, the 82nd Street businesses are probably paying about, I want to say, it probably comes out to about $100 a month
Oh. Yeah.
in their rent that is going towards the 82nd Street bid.
Yeah.
Um, so met with Councilwoman Julissa Ferreras and the board, and we decided, let's go for it. I think there was some reluctance because I didn't really fit the profile of a
Right.
Jackson Heights person, and I
Yeah.
think that was always part of the problem.
It became a problem. Yeah. That. Yeah. You didn't have a good name before.
No, and tall, redheaded, white dude.
Yeah. He definitely stood out. So yeah, it became something.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know about in the first place. Did anyone complain? Did anyone mention it like before all the expansion came?
No, no. In fact, I mean that. So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
one of the what I love about that job is being out on the street and walking the street every day, stopping in, saying hello to all the merchants, the
Yeah.
business owners. So I built really good relationships with a lot of these business owners, and they saw that I was really committed to helping them and making sure that there was some value there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when we started, we put out a new sanitation team. That was one of the first things that we did. I don't know if you remember, we actually rebranded. It was called the 82nd Street Business Improvement District.
Right.
We changed the name to 82nd Street Partnership. So it was a total rebrand, and we were getting a lot of help and assistance and resources from the Bloomberg administration.
Right.
They were giving us grant money, uh, basically trying to right the wrong, because the Department of Small Business Services, they oversee all the bids in the city. And so uh, they failed in their job of overseeing the bid and making sure that it was performing. And it got to the point where, it got so bad where they had to fire the old director. And um, anyway, so we rebranded,
Yeah.
we cleaned up the street. When I say clean up, I mean we removed all the unwanted graffiti. Um, we built relationships with the business owners and started advocating for them, helping them, just letting them know that we were there for them. Um, and so I had great relationships with all those 82nd Street shop owners. I can't really think of any that didn't like us on
Oh,
82nd Street.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, they all I got in with you guys pretty early. I don't know how. I think was there a scandal with the old partnership bid?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to call it a
No.
scandal, I mean, basically the director was getting paid a salary,
Right.
but not even sure if she was showing up.
Oh,
There was no oversight. Uh,
that's amazing.
and- yeah, right.
Like
Yeah,
you hear about that all the time. Like someone has this like $200,000 job and they don't even go,
yeah,
and it's just so amazing. I mean, not even as an outrageous citizen, but just like how did they do it? Like how did they, like they really like somehow I mean had the gall to be amazing, had the gall to be like so outrageous and so lucky, I guess. I don't know. It's like how does that happen?
they became very complacent.
And they were there for a long time though.
Yeah, I mean, I think she was the director for at least 10 years.
Like maybe that's just how it happens. People stop looking at
Yeah.
them and
And look, I think the property owners, um, they probably didn't make a big deal out of it because they were getting their rent checks, and
right. Yeah.
but yeah, it was really the business owners I think who suffered most from that whole period, uh, pre 82nd Street partnership, when, like I said, they didn't even know that there was a membership organization that they were a part of, and
Yeah.
yet they were paying into it.
Yeah.
But this was got to give a lot of credit to council member Julissa Ferreras, because she was the one who really uh, called out the city on this, the fact that
Yeah. Yeah, she's
nothing was
great.
happening, and so really lit a fire under the administration. And also got to give credit to Rob Walsh, because once he learned about this,
Mm.
granted he should have known that this was happening before, but
Yeah.
he put in a good plan to turn it around, and
Oh,
he was definitely a big motivator.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was big. A lot of potential. The area is so special.
I remember you saying that I think one of the first times we met, that you had reached out to the bid
Oh
before because
yeah.
you had ideas.
Yeah. I reached out to Peralta about doing this festival on
Oh yeah,
Junction, and he was like, he's nice. He's like very likable. He was very likable.
sure.
So he was like, well, oh, I love the vendors. I love it. I love it. But I can't have the vendors and the business owners together. It's like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. He just wasn't sold on it. So
Yeah,
but I thought that was bullshit. I thought that was I just like for him, for someone that lives in the neighborhood, like how could they ever want to go against the vendors? Because all the vendors live there also, so they live
that's right.
there and they create and they create like the atmosphere and why people love it. And I guess the only people that don't like it are the businesses, which is something. But there's a lot more people that love them, obviously, right? And
Yeah, I think generally
he's
the
going to go
business
for it.
owners, they feel like it's an unlevel playing field, right? Because they're paying taxes, they're paying rent, they're uh, paying all the fees for the permits, etc. And then right outside their door, there's a vendor
Yeah,
who is
yeah,
not
yeah.
paying rent, is using public space to operate their private business.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of like I think that's the crux of the argument, is that
Right.
they feel like it's unfair. But I think you're right, Jeff. I mean, if you were to take away all the vendors on Roosevelt, it would crush the brick and mortar
The
businesses,
scene.
because
Yeah, all the
the vendors
the grocery stores are awesome on by Junction. You didn't have them there really, but it's like a It's a destination.
yeah, that's right.
The green market vendors I'm talking about on Junction. Do you remember that area? Do you remember?
Junction Boulevard.
There's like all the vegetable vendors on the whole block on the north
Yes.
side, and so like
On
on the
on the
northeast
Roosevelt side or Junction?
on Roosevelt, the northeast corner,
Yeah.
um, and or northwest corner, both sides, and it's awesome, and it's like a destination, I think. So yeah, it's everybody loves it, except I guess if it's not a business that some businesses liked it, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, because
Like who would
if
like
it
it?
if it doesn't quote unquote compete with the brick and mortar,
Yeah,
then that merchant would have no problem with a vendor, unless the vendor was blocking their entrance or making a mess.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, the problem is when you have a fruit vendor set up outside of a
A fruit store.
produce
Right,
store,
right, right.
or when you have a jewelry vendor set up, outside of a jeweler, right? That's
Yeah.
when shit got tense.
Did I guess like the businesses have no choice where the vendors are, because they would always go to the best. They'd always go to the spot outside the train station, outside the
Yeah,
train exit. So I'm like, I don't know. Like I'm just thinking, like, would a vendor pay someone to sell outside? Like, well, some places rent out that space in the front to like flower people or other food people. Like you could rent the front of your business, but I guess the street vendors don't really need to. That's the problem for them. They can just go where they want.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I was just like thinking about like how to incentivize them to go in certain areas. If
yeah. No, it's hard because I mean, it's really the vendors. Yeah, they go where the demand is, right?
Yeah, right. Like if you put in like benches, like tables, like you had that that other park, the where the guy got killed.
Manuel de Dios.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember. I think we were talking about that. About like what if those vendors like go there?
Right. Yeah, I mean that's kind of a neat idea too, because then you're creating a destination. That'll be a strong placemaking effort, uh, which would be kind of cool to put all the vendors together like that. Um,
Or just like not like yeah to like I don't think there's any place where they have architecture for street vendors in the city.
right. Yeah, it's very informal. I mean, everything about it is informal,
Yeah,
which makes it so interesting.
Yeah, but but it's also like a pest, like if like leading them by honey somewhere. Like everyone like you chooses to everyone wants to get like the police involved and get them in trouble to get them out. But I don't know of anywhere that like encouraged, much less tamale vendors, um, or any vendors. I don't know of anywhere that we're like promoting that in the city.
Not in any business improvement district.
Oh, yeah, they
I
just get
think
siphoned.
we became
Somewhere.
82nd Street Partnership became probably the friendliest. We were the friendliest towards vendors out of all the business improvement districts.
Yeah,
Um, and I would Sean Basinski and I would talk on the phone fairly often and try to brainstorm ideas. Um, and I think that when we did that Viva la Comida, that we made a pretty big statement about the value of vendors and how they contribute to local economy and how they help brick and mortars actually.
yeah,
Um, but the markets, it's so funny because down here in Florida, markets are huge. It's a
yeah,
huge part of the local economy.
yeah,
We don't have street vendors like New York does.
yeah.
So on a Tuesday, if you go out and you walk down Main Street, you're not going to see uh, any vendors hawking anything. It's more organized and structured.
Hmm.
So there are market managers, and they every weekend they they produce a market. Everybody pops up their white tent because it's hot, and you pay a fee to get in. You pay $30 to get into the market,
Oh,
and
that's pretty good.
the market is advertised and promoted, and a lot of people earn their living that way down here. There are a lot of
Oh wow.
crafters and
Yeah, I didn't know they did that well. We went to one when we went down there. I forgot which one. It's it's like a south facing community. Like if you look south, the ocean is right there. I don't know
is
what.
it were you down, did you go down towards Sarasota?
Um, we
You and Nikki, I think, when were on your way down there.
I think we stayed there, but it was like out of the way for us. But we went there anyways because I just heard about it somewhere.
Yeah.
Um, I think it was. Oh, so Siesta. So we're looking at Tampa, right? That's what we're talking about. Oh,
The Thai temple.
it was in
St. Pete, maybe.
it was in St. Pete, and
Yeah.
uh, or maybe it was Gulfport. That's what it was.
Gulfport's a cool place, man.
Yeah.
Very artsy.
So we went to that. We went to the Gulfport farmers market or something. Yeah,
Neat. Yeah,
they're
every
really
Tuesday,
interesting.
Gulfport has a market on
So
their
they
main street. I
so
actually I tried to get into that market,
oh yeah,
but I couldn't get in.
oh,
So
why not?
yeah,
Who cares?
because they already had a T-shirt vendor,
Oh,
they didn't want another one.
oh, okay.
Did I ever tell you about that business?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
the apparel,
something and something.
hat and tee.
Hat and tea.
Yeah,
So you're still doing this?
yeah. So
Oh,
actually, in 2018, 2019, I did close to 70 markets.
oh,
70, and it's a lot of work.
yeah.
Every Friday and Saturday, going out there, putting up the tent, setting up the booth, and but man, it's so fun.
Wait, hat and tea?
Yeah, hat like a hat,
Yeah,
and tee like a t-shirt.
yeah. Okay.
Hatandtee.com.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So you
we
still, yeah.
design, we take local landmarks or iconic symbols of places, towns, and I work with an artist up in New York actually. So I'll send her the photo, and then she'll hand illustrate something,
Oh,
send it back, and then I send it to my screen printer locally here, and then we go out and we sell them.
uh-huh. Cool. I'm looking it up. I'm looking at the
We have two collections, one for Safety Harbor, and then the others for Dunedin. So
cool. Cool. Yeah, they look good. Really
I'll
cool.
send you a shirt, Jeff.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, they look cool. Baby shirt. Baby one.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, we got baby stuff too.
see. Cool. Okay, so you're doing that on your off time, right? From the
Yeah, so that's a side project. Um, I guess that's the other thing. Moving from the public sector to the private sector. Um, public sector. You're getting that guaranteed paycheck, the benefits, everything.
yeah,
Once you get into
yeah,
the private sector, uh, like I said, you got to earn every dollar.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so down here, Florida, coming from New York, where in New York you're surrounded by amazing ideas, and um, so
Yeah,
when I
there's a
came
lot.
down here, that was one of the first things I did was like, what would be a good addition? What does this place need? And there are so many ugly kind of touristy T-shirts and hats.
Oh, oh, yeah.
So that's why I said, well, let's
Oh,
do it. Let's make something nice and let's make it art.
oh, cool. Very interesting. So, do you do you see like a lot of business opportunities there? I guess
I do, yeah.
it seems very. Oh, so yeah, the government jobs are now. I should have gone into government, man. There's so many perks like beyond your salary.
It's
Like
true.
they got to be
Yeah.
made, and also like I'm learning that like the people with the government's the most powerful thing, and so they always win, and so their guys always win. Like if you work for them, you're it's pretty good. Like you could win. I think. So now I feel like I don't know. If I'm looking back, like I should have worked, dude, I should have worked for the Long Island Railroad. My mom wanted me to. My mom thought it was good because they made like $80,000, and you could like retire in 20 years. And as we see now, all this like bullshit that goes on, all the overtime, crazy stuff,
Oh yeah.
amazing. And so, yeah, I could have been retired almost by now. I think 20
Well,
years.
when we spoke last week, you said that you were retired.
I've basically been retired. Honestly, I've pretty much worked for about a month my whole life.
What? I thought you worked for NBC or
Yeah,
one of the big.
CBS. Well, I'm not working right now at the moment, but we'll
Yeah.
see if that goes on. But I've always worked freelance. I
Oh yeah.
worked for a TV station in Long Island for 8 years, and it was like it didn't pay that much at all. It paid like crazy cheap. Like I think I made $12.50 when I started, and by the time I left 8 years later, I was making $18 an hour. And like it was like such a gift to make like I was getting like I remember the boss telling me that like they give me a big raise this year or something, $1, and I
Yeah.
should be so thankful. And then like in the city that and then when I went to the city to CBS, um,
Yeah.
I made like I had no like the numbers were like I couldn't I just it was like so much more. It was like 5 times more or something. Like
Yeah.
crazy. So yeah, they
Are you
pay
going to go back to that after this? After everything kind of
I don't know.
the
I
the
work in a
dust settles a little bit here.
I don't know, I work in a control room, and they're not using the control rooms right now.
Right.
So hopefully. I don't know. Yeah, I would like to. I'd like to make some more money. Um, but I don't know.
Well, you asked if there are business opportunities in Florida. The answer is yes. I think the big difference is there's a lower barrier to entry. So if you want to open up a shop down here,
Oh,
you can cobble some money together and find a partner and get it done.
yeah,
Um, and whereas New York, I mean, I don't know how people do it with those rents.
yeah.
You know,
Insane.
and the rule of thumb is that as a retailer, your rent should be no more than 10% of your monthly revenue or sales. So that means if you're paying, let's say you're on 82nd Street and you're paying $7,000, $8,000 a month for rent,
Mm-hmm.
right? That means you need to be doing $80,000 a month in sales.
Yeah. It's
It's a
hard to
lot of pressure.
believe. Do you think you worked in Nolita also, right?
NoHo,
Oh,
yeah,
NoHo.
yeah, north of Houston.
So, did you, were the, like, I guess, did they expect in Jackson Heights the business owners to take home less money? Like, were the bosses like the chefs or were the bosses on site usually for Jackson Heights areas? Like, I'm guess I'm wondering,
Uh,
are they okay with making $30,000 a year as opposed to like
Um,
NoHo? They probably, I don't think the people at NoHo, the businesses were making like so little money,
right.
something like that.
Uh, so it sounds like you're asking if in
What am I
Jackson
asking?
Heights were the businesses operated by the owners, and I think
Yeah,
that was yeah, I think that was the case for most of the businesses in 80 on 82nd Street. The person behind the counter is the owner of the business.
right.
So if it's the pharmacist, or if it's the baker, or if it's the you know Galleria Home Decor, they all own that shop when they run it. Whereas in a place like NoHo, of course, the person behind the counter is, it's he or she is an employee, and the owner is probably out somewhere coming up with another business idea, or
Oh,
managing a portfolio of businesses.
right, right. Interesting.
Yeah.
And probably, I mean, I was thinking that also maybe, yeah, the owners in Jackson Heights, would they probably pay just as, is the rent just as high in Jackson Heights?
As it is in NoHo.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't think so.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
the Broadway rents. I'd actually have to ask my sister.
Yeah.
She works in retail, commercial
Oh,
retail. Um, but I don't know. But yeah, my guess is Broadway, Manhattan, the rents are going to be higher.
yeah.
But 82nd Street is not cheap. That's for sure. I
Right.
mean,
Very expensive. Yeah.
if you look at the numbers, the foot traffic and the subway traffic, it's huge.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so it's
So many
not yeah,
people.
it's not cheap to run a business there.
Yeah, definitely. All right. All right. Very interesting. It's like what we used to do is at your office.
I know,
We
right?
used to like
Yeah.
philosophize about bids. That's funny.
Yeah.
What else? Do we want to? What else do you want to get into?
Well, I would say that things we made things better on 82nd Street. We we improved the basic services. We brought the business community together,
Yeah.
and I think that's when Julissa Ferreira said, "Okay, let's expand this now and do Roosevelt Avenue. All the politicians in Jackson Heights, they all want to. That's one of their biggest prizes is Roosevelt Avenue. You know,
To
who can
who can save it for what? For prosperity, or I mean for posterity or prosperity? You know?
so uh, Roosevelt Avenue has a lot of challenges, right? At least it did when I was there. There's look, it has amazing number of assets and wonderful things.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, 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 yeah,
but let's be real. It had a
yeah.
lot of challenges too: crime, gangs. Um,
Yeah, it's a little messy. Has a rough
yeah,
reputation.
right.
Yeah, it's off. Yeah, it's off the beaten tracks in many ways. So it's yeah, it's
And
you know
it's been compared to the Times Square of the 1970s and 80s, and so
right.
all the politicians there want to take credit for being able to revitalize Roosevelt Avenue.
Mm,
And I think Julissa had a very ambitious plan, for this expansion, which was huge. And so she asked if we could do it, if we could make this happen. And we said yes. We'll go for it. We'll give it a shot. And so we were on a really tight timeline too. They wanted us to get it done before um, the next mayoral election. So we had like 10 months to try to get this bid through, which would be the fastest timeline ever.
yeah,
Um, and it was in terms of the area, this the space. It was the largest. It was the largest business improvement district, or it would have been.
right.
Um, so it was just a really ambitious and looking back, uh, kind of unrealistic proposal. But it was important though to provide better, services along the corridor, and to get those businesses more involved and more engaged with what's happening in their neighborhood. So one of the reasons why I always thought it would be good is because um, businesses and neighborhoods that are organized, they're the ones who can get the resources.
Right.
When you go to City Hall and you have an organization of 500 members, that's a strong voice. Versus if you're a neighborhood and you're not organized and you have one person going in saying, "Hey, we need this," uh, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and the organized entity gets the resources. So that was one of the reasons why I believed in this, because I thought that if the businesses along Roosevelt could
Yeah.
be more organized and form an association, then they'll get
Oh
more
yeah.
resources.
Yeah, they would get a ton. Yeah.
Yeah. But of course, the big fear we all know was that um, that this was a ploy to gentrify Roosevelt Avenue,
Right.
right? That was the argument that the opposition was putting forth, and I never believed that, because change is going to come regardless,
Right.
whether there's a bid or not.
Right.
There are larger economic forces at
What?
play.
Yeah.
And so if change is going to come to a neighborhood, wouldn't it be better if you're all organized and communicating and prepared to deal with that change?
Mm,
So that was
good
my
point.
thinking there, and that's why I thought it was a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not as simple. That's like a yeah, it's simpler just to just to see that I have to spend $100 more a month. That's just the simplest way to see it. And so like that was there. Well, also the gentrification, yeah. The word is so loaded. I guess it's like such a heavy word.
Yeah.
I mean, it means to change neighborhood. The bid was trying, like, I guess, yeah. Do you want prices to go up in your neighborhood? So do you want it to be more expensive? I don't know. I mean, it's like kind of shitty to say I don't want to gentrify the neighborhood. I don't want it a higher esteem.
Right.
But I get it because you price out all my friends, and me even too, and it's gonna change. Everything's gonna change. It won't be like the old days.
Correct. Yeah.
But it's
I
like
think it's
difficult,
absolutely okay to want a neighborhood to improve, to get better. Okay.
right?
Uh, and of course, you know how you define what is better. That's a whole question. But
Right.
I think that what we were looking to do was improve basic quality of life. So make the streets a little bit brighter, cleaner.
Well, who would they wouldn't oppose that? Like if you just said, "Hey, we want to make the streets cleaner. Do you want to do it?" It's pretty clean, like a pretty easy answer.
Well, okay, so yes and no. Um, yeah, we all want cleaner streets, but the argument that the opposition put forward, which is an effective argument, is that, well, we're already paying the city
Oh,
taxes to
right,
clean the streets, and
right.
so we should be getting
Yeah,
better sanitation services.
yeah, that's
And
yeah,
you know they're right uh, to a certain extent there. But what a bid does is they go above and beyond what city municipal services provide. So
mm,
you'll never see a city sanitation worker picking up cigarette butts, out of the brick sidewalks, or
oh,
taking down flyers that have been up for months, or pressure washing street corners and shoveling snow. So that's really what the bid does. That's the service where they go above and beyond.
yeah,
Uh, but the opposition was really effective in putting out the argument that, hey, we shouldn't have to be paying extra for these services. We should already be getting them. Um,
well,
but yeah, I mean, back to that
they could
question
do
about,
it. Like someone could do it. Like, but they won't be paid to do it.
yeah, and that's what they started doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Really, you remember
Yeah.
they did that? What was the name of the group? Queens United.
Yeah. Okay.
And so they were really smart because they organized these cleanups where they would go out and they made T-shirts,
Mm-hmm.
and they started sweeping the sidewalks and doing all the things that a bid sanitation team would do. And
Yeah.
they were making the point that, hey, we can do this as a community.
Right. Yeah.
I think that it's a really terrific thing. Um, whether or not it's sustainable, like are they going to be out there every
Right.
day, every week doing that, or is it more just like a show?
Oh,
I don't
I
know.
guess. Well, we had like the beautification group.
Yeah.
They pretty much do what a bid would do, something like that.
What, the Jackson Heights Beautification Group?
Yeah. Yeah. They're like a bid kind of, but not a volunteer organization.
Right. Right.
They have
And I think,
budgeted. Yeah.
yeah, Jeff, I think that's, I mean, now that we can look back on this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because at the time when you're embedded in it and you have this mission, this directive to go out and form this organization, that was the focus. And I believed in it. I was passionate about it,
Yeah.
probably to a fault. But looking back, a better model for Roosevelt Avenue in that neighborhood may be more community volunteer based.
Yeah.
And I think the reason being is because so many of those businesses, they really are operating on shoestring budgets. And although $100 extra a month may not sound like a lot, that could be the difference between being behind on their rent or not.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, it's too late now. They're already in. They can't dissolve it.
well, what happened? The plan fizzled out, right? It's dead,
Right.
right?
Right. That was
Yeah.
crazy. It was so crazy at the time. Like that, it was up to this vote, and everybody's like lobbying for this vote
Yeah.
on.
It was, yeah, man, you're right. It was crazy. I mean, we were out there every day trying and
Yeah.
collecting signatures and putting up posters in storefronts and
It, it,
politicking and trying to win support from
yeah.
local leaders and saying, hey, you're going to be the neighborhood block captain. You try to get support. Meanwhile, the opposition they were becoming much more organized,
Yeah.
and they used some tactics which really I had never experienced before.
Yeah. It got dirty.
Yeah, well, yeah, like aside from
You were like the white devil.
yeah.
It was racist.
um,
It was like
I should have
racist.
done a better job of uh,
Well, you got mad. You got really pissed off or something.
yeah, I
Right?
shouldn't have ruffled the feathers of the editor of the Queens Latino. That was a mistake.
Oh.
You know, the newspaper.
See, but you just on the phone or something? Or what do you mean?
Um, yeah, I mean,
you just you just made
phone
fun of her?
meetings.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
You got to keep it cool.
and then also one of the community board members who was, he was an academic
Oh yeah,
and
I remember him.
really strong opinions, and
Yeah. Um. Oh
I don't
yeah.
think it's impossible to satisfy him, really.
I don't think I ever. I know what you're talking about. Uh.
You want
That
his name?
guy. I remember when I did the Momo crawl the second year or something. I don't think you ever went. Yeah, I never. I don't think you ever came to any the Momo crawls. Did you?
No, no, I
So
didn't. I missed
they
those.
got to be really big, and like the second or third year, we had we had over 1,000 people come to this stupid thing. And so I was about to award the Momo Crawl trophy, this trophy, and I was like standing up on a rock in the middle of the place, and everybody's looking at me. And that guy, I forgot his name, Professor something,
Arturo
Arturo.
Ignacio Sanchez.
Oh, okay. So he comes up to, so he comes up to me. I'm holding the trophy. I have like 500 people around me that were left. It was people left. So I had like 500 people around me, and he says, "What is this?" And I say, "I'm the gentrifier."
Oh, jeez.
Just because I knew he hated gentrification, and I'm this white guy on the with all these people. So
Yeah,
whatever. He was annoying. Yeah. Anyways,
he was. Yeah, I mean, well, that kind of
Jessica
really.
Ramos is watching.
It's easy,
She
it's
says,
easy when you're an academic,
yeah.
you know, to kind of criticize everything, and
Oh
um, but when you're actually on the ground doing the work, trying to
yeah
make the changes, I think it's a different story. But yeah, he was a real pain in the ass.
yeah
Um, but so yeah, the mistake was the bad relationship that I had with the editor of the paper. That was a huge mistake. I mean, he put my face I think, in crosshairs, like on the cover.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
It's crazy. Yeah, you were the enemy number one.
yeah,
You were. I
and
mean,
I was really. It's. I think you got to remember, I was just I wasn't the elected official. This wasn't my
yeah. Why wasn't
plan.
it Julissa?
Right.
It
So I
was.
was like kind of, I was taking the shots for her,
Yeah.
really. And, and that's what bid directors do to a certain extent, which, they do a lot of the hard work for the electeds. The electeds
Uh-huh.
can kind of stay protected that way.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I knew it was over for me at one of the last meetings. There was a meeting on Roosevelt Avenue. It was a community meeting. And there were probably it was a packed room, maybe 150 people. And we were giving an update on the proposal, and everybody had an opportunity to speak. And it just became very intense. And I think I got up and spoke towards the end, and then everybody started booing.
Yeah.
And and then after that meeting, Julissa's chief of staff called me and said, "Hey, I think we got to talk about, your time here at the 82nd Street Partnership."
Um. Do you think you talked to them? And Jessica Ramos is watching, and she says that when you were talking, it felt it. She said it was so wait. She was saying how you talk. It sounded like you talk condescending, and and it was so condescending that it was easily interpreted racist. Oh, she thinks it's condescending of you and me, that it's interpreted as racist. Um, she says it's just because how you talk to people.
Okay. Well, that's her opinion. So
But you got
I just,
upset. But sometimes you would get upset and
yeah,
like,
well, because I think that people were misconstruing the facts and engaging in fear mongering, especially as it related to the causal relationship between a bid and gentrification. And so we were just trying to quiet that argument a little bit and remind people that
yeah. Well, it was
the
so.
biggest thing we were trying to do was organize businesses.
I think it's so. For you guys, it's so obvious. For you, it's obvious in your heads. It's so obvious, and so when all these people disagree and they're very vocal, maybe it's like your natural tendency to like get to yell at them.
Well, yeah, and so, and I think that's one of the things about Jackson Heights, right? Is how passionate people are. I mean, and it's because they love the place where they live and where they work. And so there's this intense passion that was permeating throughout that neighborhood, that district. And you have to remember, we had a lot of support for this plan from the business community.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was probably 50-50 between those who
Business.
supported it and those who opposed it. But the opposition was much louder and more organized than the proponents.
Yeah.
And so,
So what could you have done? What could you have done maybe? Now, 2020 hindsight, like, is there anything you think you could have done
yeah, I think
that would have been?
what I should have done is step back a little bit and try to better gauge what the real concerns were of the people who didn't want this or were concerned about it, and try to empathize with them a little bit better. Um,
Did you want wait? Did you want it that bad?
I thought it was really important. Yeah, I believed in it.
Like, why wouldn't you just say? But like, it doesn't matter. Does it matter to you? Do you get paid more?
No.
Like, why don't you just say fuck it? Like, why? Like, why are you getting so angry? Like,
Well,
why don't you
that's
just offer
eventually
it and
what I
say,
did.
look,
You know.
we could do this. Here's the advantages. Do you guys want to do it? If not, I still get paid the same.
Right.
What? Why don't you just do that? Seth.
Well, I think you have to remember that I had a board of directors and I had elected officials and a city administration and a lot of businesses
Yeah.
that were calling me, pushing for us to
Oh.
get this done. Um,
You think you would get fired? Were you worried about your job? Because you saw it so controversial. We worried if it doesn't. We like worried if it doesn't pass, what's going to happen?
I don't think I was thinking about that at the time, but I think what if I could go back, what I would have done is probably when it became obvious that you know half of the business community didn't want this. That's when we should have sat down with Julissa and Small Business Services and said, "Hey guys, let's reassess this."
Cold. I'm
Uh,
here.
but again,
I'm not
Jeff,
on air. I'm not on air right now, so I could. Only you could see me. Only you could see me that I got up and got my blanket.
oh, there
The
you go.
people at home didn't see that, but now the veil is unraveled.
I have a question, and if Senator is it Senator Ramos or
Uh, I'm not sure. Yeah,
well,
Senator.
yeah, the
State
Honorable
Senator.
Ramos. I wonder if
He's probably not watching anymore, but yeah.
was the neighborhood did the neighborhood become more engaged and involved as a result of this expansion process?
Oh,
And I think the answer to that is yes. And I think if there's anything positive that we take out, that's the biggest thing, is that we got people to become more active
right.
and engage in the future of their neighborhood.
Tough. You're saying you gave tough love. You're like an abusive father. You like
Well,
name your boy Sue or something. You know.
it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I mean that. Then that group opposed Target also on the same.
I don't know if this is true, and I don't know if I should be putting this out there, but I also heard that there was an organized effort for me to vacate that position, and that there was people who were donating, giving money to Queens Latino to try to push me out.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
the newspaper.
yeah.
Very strange.
And
Then they replaced you with nice girl, but Leslie Ramos. But she was, you know what? Nice girl, but she was no more part of the community than you were. I mean, she could speak Spanish, but she's Puerto Rican, and so and she was from another bid, like the Harlem. Like she was like you guys were on the same level, I guess, same person.
well, okay, so then that begs the question.
She just had a better name, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
She was an outsider. I'm saying you're an outsider. She's an outsider. It's not
right.
like they had a Colombian from Corona.
So, do you think that's who should be in that position? Is a Colombian from Corona?
It helps. It's definitely something that's a plus in your resume.
Yeah.
So it's not. I mean, it's not the whole story. Um, Now we sound like we're from the Rockaway, the firefighters. It's it's like it's not it, like it's a tight line. It definitely um yeah, if you're from the neighborhood, that helps a lot, and you're from that culture, it helps a lot. But still,
Yeah.
you can't hire a dullard that has the correct makeup. That you know,
Right.
so. But I feel like they should have hired someone that's from the neighborhood.
Yeah. Well,
That
they had a application process, and people. I'm sure people applied, but um, I think being from the neighborhood is important. But you have to also be able to manage a nonprofit organization, and there are a lot of other skills that go into it.
right.
But I think, yeah, I think again, Jeff, just like getting back, I think we could do it over again. We'd make the effort, and then once we saw that there was that level of pushback to the point where we had protesters with drums
Right.
and a lot of vicious things being thrown around. That's when we should have stepped back and said, okay,
Right.
this isn't the right time, or this isn't the right plan. But again, there was that pressure from other actors who were not as visible, but they were very influential in
Yeah.
driving this thing. And yeah, so we should have just kind of stepped back and said, now it's not the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when we did the facade improvement, which I thought it was a really good project on 82nd Street, on the corner of 82nd and Roosevelt, um, where where Top Gun is. I don't know if they're still there. Devison Jewelry, and then the pizza shop on the corner.
Yeah. Oh, the sign improvement.
Yeah, so we
You love these signs. You love
well,
this.
so
I didn't like it because they all look the same. They all look.
okay, well, it's one. Yeah, I know. So that was some of the criticism, right? So
Yeah, that was my thing. And
um,
also it takes like you don't have like the creativity, character. It takes away some of the
so
character, Seth.
yeah, I mean
That was my opinion.
I respect your opinion. I that's your opinion. Other people loved it. They thought it highlighted and accentuated the original architectural features and
Oh.
details of the building. Um, but one thing about that neighborhood is that it is a historic district
Mm-hmm.
that's regulated by landmarks, and it had more landmark violations than any other
Oh.
district in the city.
Oh.
And so that was one of the. And when you have all these violations on a building, it makes it harder to bring in a new tenant or to sell the building, or because you're putting all these liens on the property.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, so that was one of our initiatives, was to help property owners and commercial tenants get into compliance with the historic district guidelines. So that project, we had a budget, and that's one property owner who had 5 ground floor tenants.
Mm-hmm.
And so the property owner, that's his building. He wanted that kind of signage, and
Oh.
we worked with the local Jackson Heights architect. And again, we put it up, and from my perspective, it was a big improvement over what was there previously, which was you couldn't even really see the signs and identify what businesses were there.
Yeah, but I like that. And don't they like that too?
Well, no, the businesses
The owner doesn't like it.
talk to the businesses. them how they, because they all told me that they liked it
It looks
and that
cool. It looks cool when it's like Dunkin' Donuts or like when it's Starbucks. When it's a name, when it's like a chain brand and they have to change their logo to fit the historic district. That's cool. But I
yeah,
like I like the broken signs. I like the sign. I like. Well, I guess a lot of people don't like it too. A lot of people think it's nasty.
right. So
That's gentrification. Maybe that's gentrification. That's the argument. That is.
yeah, I mean that was one of the. In fact, you mentioned Jessica Ramos, but the day after we finished that project, she was very vocal about her distaste
Oh,
and for that project.
oh,
Um,
yeah.
and I mean, what can you do? Some people love it, some people hate it.
Right, right.
But the property owner, who's putting in the majority of the funds,
Oh,
that's what he wanted to do, and
okay.
we consulted with all the businesses. They liked it, they approved it. Uh,
So,
so we went ahead and did it, and
yeah.
it's nice when you look at the old photos of Jackson Heights of 82nd Street, from the 1920s, 1930s. They have a lot of those swing signs, and it's really beautiful. The architecture really pops,
Yeah.
and uh, I think that a lot of that architecture was being masked by these all these signs, the hodgepodge of signs.
What is architecture?
But hey, man, I see what you're saying
Oh, look.
about how that adds character.
But yeah, I mean, on the banks now, since you left, there's at least I think there's a new bank or I don't know some major store, and they cleared out. You could see the original building, and it really is beautiful. But but it's one big store. Like if you had like six stores, it'd be difficult to convey what store you are. You have a lot of information, so yeah, the hodgepodge is needed to talk to show off your business, though. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's still things that those businesses can do to differentiate themselves from one another. Window displays and
Yeah.
lighting and that sort of thing. But I like that project. That was a fun project. Um, we had a lot of people who came out and liked it. The beautification group seemed to appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the tenants themselves appreciated it, which was really the most important thing. The day that we got together and unveiled that project with all the business owners there, with the corner pizza shop, with the jewelry owner, with the Top Gun apparel
Yeah.
company, the dentist, we were all gathered together celebrating this makeover, and the group, they came out and they were protesting.
Mm.
So, did you know that they were also very critical of the Viva la Comida because we were inviting street vendors from outside of.
Oh, dude, I I invited everyone from Roosevelt Avenue. I invited so many
Yeah.
people, and
Why would you invite street vendors from out of the neighborhood?
no, but you know what? I totally get it though. Okay, so two things about that. So I did. So one is yeah, I did invite like so many of the vendors, not every single one because some of them suck, but all the good ones, and there's a lot. I invited them all to come, and no one would come except for Tortas Neza, who's my friend, and we like all the other ones that we like were supposed to. A rep lady came, um, and then I have this other guy, 90th Street. He came one of those years, Carlos. And that was like, and then there's a guy from 108 from not National 102nd Street, the Colombian Dominican guy. He came, but like it was so difficult to get anybody to come. But you know what? They make a ton of money. Like like they make a ton of money at their regular spots on weekends. So like
Oh yeah.
they're usually nonstop anyways. So they're not. You know what? If that's their business, just selling today's stuff, like not catering. If that's their whole business, then they can't even do better than they do on a Saturday. So I get it. So I get it. And then like in the later years, I don't know if it was after. It definitely is now, but I don't know if it started like the last year we did it. But like the vendors didn't make that much at all, and so like it just ruined it. But it just made it not worth it for the vendors unless they were coming in from like another neighborhood, and that's their
Right.
business. And the other thing is that the Viva La Comida was so cool because it was like an all-star event for
Yeah.
street food. And I think the Vendies existed before that, but for me, this was free. This was like the Vendies are expensive.
Yeah.
They're like 100. I think they're over $100 right now. It's expensive. It's nice, but it's expensive, and it's not where we live. So this was
So
like fucking
you
awesome.
thought then that that was a fair criticism of you
Oh, that the vendors were.
bringing in vendors from outside the neighborhood.
Um, I don't think they knew the whole story. They didn't. They didn't know that. They didn't know the whole story. I mean, it's like a okay. So if I didn't know anything, no. I mean, it's an event. It's a
I thought
special
it.
event,
I got. I thought that was like
but it's
it was.
okay.
I
It's
thought that was insane. An insane thing of them to be protesting that.
yeah, but that's why you're not a politician because you
Well,
get
yeah, you're right.
because you get offended by that. You get
Well, no,
offended by it.
I don't.
I think you
I
know that's interesting. That's very interesting. Maybe they're
yeah.
right. I don't know, but
No, yeah. I express my opinion, right? And it's not always
yeah,
it's not down the middle.
you get very heated. Yeah, gets you in
Yeah.
trouble as a politician.
Right.
Yeah, this is before your CBD days. Before you
Yeah.
started.
Thank gosh. Thank God for hemp.
Yeah. Um, I don't think I. Oh, I think I tried a CBD thing one time at like at some head store or whatever you call. I don't know what they call it. I don't know what the kids call it. Do they call it a head store anymore?
Uh,
Where they get stuff?
smoke shop.
Like a what? A vape shop.
Smoke shop.
Yeah, smoke shop. Vape shop now. I went to this vape shop just to see what kind of toys they have, and then the kid gave me like a free try of his CBD, and I never had it before, and so for him it was a little. I asked him, "How do I know what's happening?" Like he's like, people are so excited that it doesn't affect your mind, and for me that's the best part. I loved it, and so so
Yeah.
like um yeah, I don't know. What do I feel better? I just feel better. That's it.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's different. So, you know, hemp and marijuana both come from cannabis. Um, and the big difference is that hemp is high in the cannabidiol, CBD, low in THC, whereas marijuana is high in THC, lower in CBD. And so these cannabinoids, they hit different receptors in your endocannabinoid system. And hemp hits receptors that are located mostly in the body, so when you smoke it or when you eat it, it's going to hit those receptors and relieve body. Whereas marijuana THC, it's going to hit your receptors in your head, and it's psychoactive. And for me, I'm someone with a little bit of anxiety. THC never worked for me.
Oh, yeah.
It heightened my anxiety. So
Right,
that's the
right.
beautiful thing about hemp, and I think that's why a lot of people like it, is because
Ah,
they can smoke it, eat it,
yeah,
whatever they do, and it relaxes them and
yeah.
eases anxiety.
What if Florida legalizes marijuana completely, and someone opens up the Dunedin pot? What do you call it? Marijuana company. Are you going to be upset?
Uh, um, I like to think that we're teeing ourselves up. We're getting ourselves in position to expand into that
Oh,
realm. Um, at the same time, I think there will always be a market for CBD,
uh-huh.
because I think if you were to legalize marijuana tomorrow, um, it's not like everyone's going to start smoking weed. You either like it or you don't. And if you like it
Right.
now, you probably, chances are, you smoke it. You find a way to do it. Uh,
I guess, but your customers, you're probably more likely introducing them to it, right?
to CBD,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of new for a lot of these folks, and also we're presenting it in a different way. Um, we always found that CBD was presented in kind of an intimidating way, where it's behind a glass counter or it's in a seedy smoke shop. But our customers are mostly female in their 50s and 60s, and they want a nice, relaxed, welcoming environment, which is why we've created a more of a boutique style, where you can actually open up the flower, smell it,
Mm. Right, right.
um, ask questions. It's educational. Um, so I think we're
This
providing a good service.
this may be sexist, but do you ever consider doing like a not like a multi-level marketing, but like a show? Like you go to people's houses in the neighborhood and you do a hemp like they do with those pants, the fabric, and then the Tupperware part, like a Tupperware party,
Yeah, yeah.
hemp company
Well, they're actually, yeah, it's funny.
party.
There are actually ladies that do that now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very
And
smart.
it's the multi-level marketing, and they
Right.
become an affiliate,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh, so it is. It's multi
yeah, yeah,
marketing.
they
Oh,
go
it's exactly
they
that.
go into their living room, and
Oh yeah, yeah,
they all talk about the benefits of
yeah.
CBD, and then they
Then they recruit people to sell.
recruit people to
Oh
sell,
my
and
god.
then they, what's that?
This is I don't know if we, it's is a rough industry.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think, and that's
Some
why,
say predatory.
yeah, and that's why people, I think that's why we're having some success here, because we're honest and transparent with people. We'll say, hey, you don't need this. You don't need to buy this $70 bottle of oil. Let's start with this. See how you feel. We know our source. We we know our farmer. So it's very different. Um, our our model, but talking about the multi-level marketing, are there still is there still a lot of
Oh
Herbalife
yeah. Let's get
people
back
out
to. Yeah. They're not as growing. I don't think most of them are still there. Most of them have like there are still ones that are there that have been around here for a long time. But I guess ones aren't just like popping up. Like at that time, like they were just like popping up out of nowhere, and in these like
there?
really weird locations too.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
predatory business.
yeah, that's rough, man.
Yeah,
Um, anyway,
and it's targeted towards the Latino community too.
yeah, yeah.
There was a documentary where people they profile people who put their life savings into Herbalife and
Mm-hmm.
lost it.
Yeah, sure. Very dangerous. Okay. Okay. Anything
Any
else?
viewers out there?
What's that?
Any viewers out there?
It's about 1 million. No, not many. There's 3 right now, I think. It says 3.
What did we max out at?
It's in the double digits, I think.
Oh yeah.
But people, I don't care. This is great. But if you want to talk about stats, you could say, "Oh, they watch it. They watch it on the replay, or whatever." But whatever. For me, um, it exists there, and it's and it's something. Um,
Yeah.
but
I
also,
love what you're
I get
doing,
to
man.
train. I get to practice and talk to my friends.
Yeah. Look, it's a slow build. I mean,
It doesn't even matter. I don't even build that. The
right.
only reason why I want to build, well, who do I even want to talk to? I don't want to talk to anybody.
Well, so Jeff, that's another lesson that I've learned.
That's another what?
It's another lesson that I've learned
Okay.
that to approach things more like a marathon and not a sprint.
Uh huh.
Be more patient,
Yeah.
um, and try to be more open-minded,
Mm-hmm.
more loving, more compassionate, more understanding.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Is that
and
you
it's
learn it?
amazing.
What's that?
It's amazing what having a kid does too.
Oh, we are well, we're trying to be as peaceful as possible. Um, and there's nothing's really that wrong to get so upset about. And yeah, and we all feel bad. I also think that part of being a dad is just pretending that everything's fine.
Yeah.
Seems like to fake it just to be happy.
Well, yeah, you have to maintain strength, but
Yeah,
also an image of strength.
yeah, yeah. You have to look like have everything under control.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, whatever. Figuring
I
it.
like what you're doing. I like what you're doing with this show, and I'm glad that you brought me on tonight to talk about this.
The only people, dude. I don't want. I really don't. I don't want to talk. I don't want to. I want to talk to Dr. Ruth. That's the only person that I want to have that I don't even know. Like otherwise, I just want to talk to my friends. That's it.
Yeah,
It's good to have like a dedicated thing. Like before, I was doing. Well, I'm still doing with like Famous Fat Dave. We always talk about food stuff, and so like for us to have an assignment, which for this week is to have our top 10 Chinese takeout items. So for us to just have like an assignment to like do something and present it and talk about it is like the most fun thing. So this is like the only show where it's like um this is the only show I want to do where we're not doing a list to present.
yeah. Like not a whole lot of structure to this episode, but we knew that there was a lot to talk about, and I think we touched on some things.
Yeah, yeah, this is very good. It was good. There's so much potential. I get so excited with that type of stuff, but I don't know. I can never get my ass in gear to like to be employed in that manner. I didn't. I don't know. I just never got. Maybe I don't know. It's a good career path, I guess. But I don't know. I never. I always skirted around it, but I never got into it. Working for them.
Well, if Leslie ever decides to move on from that position, are you going to apply?
No, 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 no. What I apply? I'm like out of it now. I'm totally out of the game. Well, I guess with the Momo crawl was really big, um, and I passed that on to a, Students for Free Tibet, like a an organization, and that was like how I that was what the design was actually. I didn't want to do it, because I can't do everything, and I only want to do everything. Like if I do it, I want to do it. I'm like too anal about everything. I want like my vision, but I knew that they as an organization could do more in that one day, and they also had like chapters all around the world. I could never do that, and so like that's the vision. Um, so that got passed on, and that was fun. But like when I did it, I just worked for myself really, and no money would make a difference as to the quality or to what we're doing. It didn't even matter. And I always lost money, like me personally, because I would just want to do cool shit, and it came out of my pocket. So
Yeah.
eventually, I got it though that were making money, like, and so but I didn't like taking that money. The money was like dirty money, so I put all of it in a box, and that was the budget for next year. And so and then by the end, it was well, by the end, I think it was like it's not a ton, but I think we had like $5,000 like one year, something like that. And I had to spend it. I got trolleys. I got these trolleys to go around, and that was like $2,000 or something like that.
Yeah,
And
the Chiba bus.
it all came out of the shoebox. I shouldn't be saying this for IRS or something, but I did. But I didn't make any. I didn't make any money. I didn't want to. It was like dirty. Would I want to be a bid director? I don't know. I couldn't do it. I don't know. Too
Is
many
it the
bosses.
I think you have a lot of qualifications though. Uh,
What?
okay, so you're creative, you know how you could manage a budget, you're
What?
good with people, and but where you might have a hard time is like I don't know. Would you say you're good at politics?
Um, I'm good at making people like me and figuring out. I like to figure out people. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like trading. I don't know. Um, I think my biggest issue would be filling out a form. Would be filling out an application for anything. I've been out of school for like 20 years. I can't do it. I can't.
The big part of the job is applying for government grants.
I'm so stupid now. Like I write stuff. Like I used to be such a good speller. I can't do anything, and I can't like fill out a government form. I just like cannot, like all this like healthcare stuff. I like cannot fill out a form anymore. I'm like so out of school and official stuff. I point a camera. I play video game. My job for the last 15 years has been playing a video game basically with
Yeah,
like television stuff. So I'm like so out of being detailed.
yeah. The administrative side, I can
Yeah, yeah.
see that's not something that you would be
No,
excited about. But I think you do need someone who's creative and who can build relationships. And
it would be fun. It could be a lot of fun
yeah,
until you have to deal with like I don't know if with politicians. Some are great. Danny Drum's great.
he's great.
I mean, everybody means. I don't know. It's just weird that some people are like actually crooked. Like what? I don't understand how government people like what's worth it to like do something to cheating basically
Um,
to like
because they become intoxicated by
the
and they
power.
crave power and control.
Just so they just want to like I don't know. It's just like crazy. Also, I hear it just sounds like they don't. even get contributed to that much. Like with the donations, like there's a limit, and it's not that much. So how could that even matter? Like, wouldn't I feel like there always must be something else that's that would make a politician crooked? Like, it can't be a $2,000 donation that gets you a contract for like way too much or something, or favors or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of our politicians, right, have gotten in trouble because they've been taking bribes or um, getting
Or they get like
bags of
side
cash.
jobs. What's that?
Bags of cash.
Oh, or they get like hired as a consultant or something like that.
Yeah, that's
That's
probably more.
Yeah, that's like the
more
legal way of doing it.
yeah.
But like I can't understand. Yeah, it's just like
Well, I think that
what's worth it?
From the outside, Jackson Heights, Elmhurst. I mean, like you said, Danny Drum. He's one of the nicest guys. He's so effective,
Yeah.
and he's even, he's mild, even tempered. He's got the right temperament. I think that Julissa was terrific because she was
I liked her a lot. Yeah.
very, very positive and very offered a lot of hope. I think that uh, that's really all I want to comment on as far as the politicians.
Okay, good choice.
Yeah,
Well, you know, again, it doesn't. I mean, yeah, well, whatever. I didn't. Peralta had. I think Peralta got much better, like in his last year. I really do. I think he was like making a lot of uh, morally correct decisions, and better for
well,
the neighborhood.
he took a lot of heat for
Yeah.
joining the was it the
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The four people in the
yeah
room or something like that. Was that what it was? Oh
yeah.
no,
I mean,
no.
he was elected as a Democrat, but then
He was like caucusing with the
he started working
Republicans.
closely. I don't. Yeah, I mean, there are others who
Oh yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. That
but
was crazy. And but he did. I went to dude. That was worse than 82nd Street bid expansion.
oh yeah,
That was
yeah. I
crazy.
mean, he took a ton of heat, right?
He didn't. Yeah, he didn't handle it that well. Um, I saw his point of view. I forgot what it was. It was like called like Republican or something like that. It had a it had a very bad name, and
Yeah.
like the optics of it were very bad.
He thought that he could be more effective in delivering resources to his constituents if
Right,
he, for whatever reason, I don't know the details,
right.
um, but people are so reactionary and
It looked
very
so
loyal to
bad.
the party. So
He like I remember I went to this meeting, um, and he like kept on saying Simcha Felder was like the bad guy, and he is, and Simcha Felder is definitely like, um, uh, not the most fair. I guess I don't know. I don't like him. So most people don't like him, and so like, but as like a Jew, like I really felt like Peralta was like pointing him out as like the devil, and I don't know, I just got a little. He like tried to shift the blame from himself onto Simcha Felder like so much that he was the devil, and I don't know. I don't think he defended himself in the correct manner. I think he could have, if he. I think if he was a better politician, like in the original sense of the word, like not in like the fancy suit sense, but like if he could talk to them and tell them he was trying to essentially get more money to come to his neighborhood. That's it.
yeah,
And so he should just said it like
yeah,
that rather than like he like really went around, and I don't know. But I think he was. I don't know. I really don't know if he knew he was sick at the end. I feel like that may have been something because he really was turning over a nice leaf in
oh
his
yeah,
last year, and then no one knew about that he was sick. So I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know. But I always got, and then more. I don't like Moya. I don't like him. Um,
You do?
I don't like him.
Oh,
No. I feel like he just feels like a crony to someone else. Just I don't know who else. I don't like him. Jessica Ramos, I think she's great.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we have awesome. We have like Jackson Heights is like the best politicians.
Well, it
I,
was funny. Jessica, I remember she and I had a one-on-one meeting a day before a big community meeting, and she was. We had a great conversation, and she seemed to be on board with the strategy and the direction we were taking. And next day was a complete 180.
oh,
And so my opinion of her changed after that. But ultimately, she answers to her constituents, and so maybe that night some sort of change of heart. But
oh,
yeah, and she was always very critical of everything we did.
uh-huh.
She's one of those people who are impossible to satisfy.
She's very involved. Yeah, she's so involved. I was like when I first met her, I was surprised that she wasn't a politician before that.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, she's very involved. Yeah, she was rough on
yeah.
you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. It's good.
But Danny was always. I think a lot of those electeds kind of saw that I was in a tough spot, and doing the work for
Yeah, sorry.
doing the dirty work, right? So they were always very kind. Most of them were very kind to me and
Yeah,
offered a lot of support,
yeah,
moral support.
yeah.
Francisco, uh, Danny,
Should I start
Philip,
a?
obviously.
One last question, then I gotta go to sleep. Should I start a rogue business improvement district on my street? I'm on 73rd Street in Jackson Heights, and I think it would be good to have like a bid on 73rd
Yeah.
in Little India, um, but they don't. They're not gonna do it. Um,
Well, just make it voluntary. If people want to contribute, I mean, that's how the 82nd Street bid started. It was Jim Giagione, uh, who owns Legends. It was him going around asking for donations for holiday lights
oh, yeah,
originally.
yeah,
That's how it all starts. It's like with one person
yeah.
and a vision and building support
I don't want to do that, dude. I like going to work and coming home, and that's it. It's
and
great.
doing your podcast.
And well, yeah, whatever. This is not even. Well, I'm not getting paid anymore. I'm getting paid, but the government's paying me right now. It's a publicly sponsored program, apparently. But I like working. Yeah, I like working and then going home and then not caring about anything.
Oh, it's nice, man. Yeah,
Very nice. No
yeah.
stress.
You sleep better, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. But yeah, so I'm like, I'm totally. I don't know. I'm just concentrating on my family, and that's it,
That's it.
and making
Yeah.
money, and that's it. And I want to retire as soon as possible. So, whatever.
Hey, listen. Um,
Nice talk to you.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm only in a little bit of trouble. Hope you're not in trouble when you get home or you have to sleep tomorrow.
I'm good.
Um,
I appreciate your friendship. You know.
I appreciate yours, and yeah, I'm always I appreciate your support, and I'm always here to support you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I'm gonna end the broadcast now. Boom.